Now, we've been following the disgraceful state of our sewage polluted waterways closely on this programme over the last few months, while supporting the Save Windermere campaign in their strike against sewage this morning was comedian Steve Coogan, who warns that United Utilities is creating what he calls a sewage time bomb in England's largest natural lake. The founder of the Save Windermere campaign, zoologist Matt Staniak, joins me now. Matt, very good evening to you. I know you've been on something of a sleep strike, so you're probably struggling to keep your eyes open. I'll try and make sure I don't bore you to death and make you go to sleep. Tell us about Steve Coogan today and what he did for you.
Yeah, so Steve came and, added his voice to align with our message, which is very simple. It's stop putting sewage into Lake Windermere. And what he came to join was the 24th week of our strike against sewage, in which we sit outside of United Utilities greenwashing centre in the centre of Windermere. And it kind of came to me that the 24th week marks a whole day of my life that's been spent so far outside of the United Utilities Centre, because we usually strike from 9 in the morning on a Monday morning till 10 o'clock. So to celebrate that milestone, we decided to sit outside of the centre for 24 hours straight. So yeah, I've little sleep in the last 24 hours, but it did its job. Windermere is now once again back up on the national stage, and we're pushing a very simple message, which is stop the sewage.
Yeah. And it's been pretty awful weather today. It's weather warnings all over the place. I don't know what it's been like where you are in Windermere, but if it's raining heavily there, I imagine the pollution will be pretty bad in the lake.
Yeah, no, it was incredibly wet last night. And, you have those moments of, well, that is the reality to it, that we have not seen the investment to deal with rainfall in the Lake District. And you've also got the complete failure of regulation, which they are allowing sewage to be dumped. This is the Environment Agency. They're allowing sewage to be dumped in the Lake District National Park at 0.25 millimetres of rainfall. The law is very, very clear. It's supposed to happen in exceptional circumstances. And, you have these moments where I'm sat outside a United Utilities Centre. It's absolutely lashing down with rain. And, there's a fairly good likelihood that there was spilling as a result of it. And that really encompasses what the campaign is about. We need to stop putting sewage into Windermere.
And we spoke to you, I think it was only last week. I mean, has anything changed in the response that you're getting from the organisation themselves? The United Utilities people. Are they showing any signs of sympathy with you?
No, not realistically. They were interviewed on Good Morning Britain this morning, and so much of it is just a smokescreen. It's trying to distract us away from the issue. They say things like, we've invested X amount of millions of pounds into Windermere, and none of it is good enough. And particularly when you look at this level of investment in comparison to how much they are sending to their shareholders in the form of dividends. Last year alone, they sent over £450 million to their shareholders. Their ex-chief executive, Steve Mogford, he was in his post for 12 years. He took away £30 million. What they're investing in Windermere is an absolute drop in the ocean. And like I was saying earlier, this is being allowed by the regulation, both Ofwat and the Environment Agency. And as a result of it, profit is being prioritised over the ecological integrity of Lake Windermere, which is England's largest lake and the jewel in the crown of the national park. And if this is happening to Lake Windermere, then this is absolutely happening to your river, to your coastline, to your lake. And as a result of it, the bill payer is paying for this.
Absolutely right. And as far as Steve Coogan's words, a sewage time bomb that he said was going to be the case, what does he mean by that? What is he alluding to?
So it's one of the big problems that we face with Windermere, in that we've not just got what is going into the system. As a statistic, since 2020, United Utilities has discharged over 27,700 hours of untreated sewage into Windermere and its surrounding rivers. But one of the big problems that we face is the damage that has already been done, because Windermere is essentially an enclosed ecosystem because it's a lake.
Yeah.
So much of what you put into a lake gets trapped within that lake itself. So we have a latent layer of pollution at the bed of Windermere, which is incredibly high in the nutrient, which is basically a fertilizer for algae. When you get natural circumstances where the lower levels of the lake become anoxic, or the lower levels reduce in oxygen, that can release that trapped nutrient. So you could have a system where you have a drought period, in which you've got lots of people coming to the national park, putting pressure on inadequate infrastructure. That then feeds the algae. When the algae dies and sinks to the bed of the lake, and starts to decompose, that process uses oxygen. It can then release what is trapped within the sediment itself. And you've got almost like a positive feedback loop where the algae just cycles through, it gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And when you get these extensive algal blooms, you can see mass fish kills as a result of it. As an example, Mar Menor in Spain, it's a saltwater lagoon. And in 3 years recently, you know, like I can't remember the exact dates, it's like 2019, 2020, 2021, they saw mass fish kills because they had massive algal blooms.
Matt, I've got to stop you, Matt. Sorry about that. Well, I know you're sleep deprived. We're time deprived, I'm afraid. I'm time deprived. We've got to go. You're watching the Independent Republic of Mike.